So I was called earlier this week by Larry Bloom, and he said Larry and Mike are up in Canada chasing 100 different vineyards, and I don't know if they'll get back across the border or not, but we'll see what happens next week when they return. But anyway, I have the opportunity today to introduce someone that I've worked with as a port commissioner for several years, sat on the board, Michael Cade, who is a fellow Rotarian with Gateway, and is very instrumental in economic development opportunities. And as you know, the port is very economically developed, driven, and that's our mandate by the RCWs. But Michael has been with us since 2004. Prior to that, he was up in Snohomish County as the economic development director there. He's doing a great job down here, and today we're going to have the opportunity to listen to all the exciting things that he's got going on in his life. I do want to say that even though he is a very busy man doing economic development, he does manage to find time to be on the board of directors of the Thurston County Chamber of Commerce, the Pacific Mountain Workforce Development Council, Morningside, and the Washington State's Arts Mission. So it's a great deal of privilege and honor that I introduce to you today, Michael Cade.
Thank you, Bill. Actually, thank you for inviting me here. Lacey Rotary is actually, it's got a special place in my heart. You were actually the first club when I showed up 2004 to invite me to come here and introduce myself, and you kind of allowed me to wobble through about 20 minutes of yammering and stammering about economic development, and you were very patient. There were no tomatoes, there was a couple of Razzies, Ken. It actually went really well. And actually the board kept me on, and life has been good so far. And I always want to start with a little bit of deference to leadership, because the work that we do at the Economic Development Council could not be done without the leadership of my board of directors. There's a couple individuals in the office. Bill McGregor introduced me. He's been on our board a couple of times, but he's been a very strong supporter of economic development. Carrie Whistler, actually this project I'm going to talk about, she's been on our board for just a year, but realistically she served time as the president of the board of directors of our Business Resource Center, which actually birthed this project that we're going to talk about. So Carrie's got some good mojo there. And actually Doug Ma, when I first showed up, was on our board of directors. And at that time, one of the issues that our board was addressing during a retreat was how do we sustain and grow entrepreneurs in Thurston County. And so really the theme of today's conversation goes back to the lineage that occurred back in 2004, 2005 when Doug was on the board. And we also started talking about relationships and partnerships. And you can't do economic development without partnerships and relationships. Partnerships with the schools, partnerships with the civic government, and certainly we want to make sure that we're carrying that voice of the private sector as it grows and increases economic opportunities throughout. So I wanted to thank the leaders in here and that board that have been very instrumental in my world as we kind of push these things forward. So thank you very much. I want to talk to you about our Center for Business Innovation. And this is going to be really cool. Where's the cursor? Full screen. And it's going to be, actually we're moving. If you come over to my office right now, everything is akimbo. There's paper everywhere. We're actually moving next Wednesday. So if you come on over, most of us are in jeans. We don't allow jeans day in our organization, but we did decree this week and next week is jeans week. So get out of your system. Life is good after that. We'll get back to the suits after that. But to talk a little bit about the Center for Business and Innovation, we need to go back a little bit and talk a little bit about the history and why we do these things. A couple of years ago, we started understanding that there are different ways of collecting relationships and partners and resources. So we took a trip. We took a trip to the Indian River State College. What I mean by we, there's a group of us from South Puget Sound, the Economic Development Council, the Chamber of Commerce, City of Lacey, St. Martin's University. We asked the basic question, can we do it better? Can you do economic development better, and can you grow and truly infect the community with an idea that entrepreneurialism and the idea that you're going to grow business here is good, and be aggressive about it. We took a trip to what we at that time thought was the best practice that we could find around the country. It was at Indian River State College in Florida. And the idea is that they there had actually combined the Small Business Development Center with one of their SCORE programs with their technical assistance. And they coupled it with their community college. At that time it was a community college, now it's a four-year state college. And they opened up something called the Brown Center for Innovation, and that's that building you see in the middle. And we really kind of started looking around and thought, geez, this is actually pretty cool. Folks can come in, they get technical assistance, they can grow their businesses, they can launch their businesses, they can actually get financing there. That's kind of cool. And so we started kind of thinking about those concepts and the takeaways of, can we bring it back to Thurston County? And what really is the catalyst for economic development in our region? Who is it and what is it? Thurston County is blessed to have a lot of smart people in town. You all are very intelligent individuals. One of the things that's specific to our DNA about the economy here is that we're small businesses. We have about 17,000 businesses in town in Thurston County, and give or take a few. Don't write it down and say it's gospel. But it's about 17,000 businesses in town. About 98% of them are 10 employees or less. So what is it that we really do here? How do we grow our businesses? And how do we use those resources to keep moving that forward as a catalyst for economic development in the region to create wealth? So the vision of the CDI, we wanted to create a place where we can assist entrepreneurs to grow their business. Pretty simple statement. How do you grow and launch businesses? And so this little video I'm going to play for you will kind of outline some of those concepts that we took away. Don't misunderstand that notion that leadership leads to vision, vision leads to action, and then you need to understand the impact that you're having on the community. So when we're kind of looking at this video, keep those ideas in the back of your mind.
The hub is the combination between the college and the EDC programs. The EDC programs include Thurston Energy, the Women and Minority Business Center, the Small Business Development Center, the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, and SCORE Counseling. They also have many other programs that come in regarding the Tumwater Brewery project and other local things that happen that we need to put effort towards. On the college side, we will have our normal college services such as registering students, counseling students, advising students. We'll have continuing education classes that will help get them started. We'll have corporate training that's geared more towards business development and job training. And then we'll also have the opportunity to host conferences and other things that will bring in industry partners into the hub and be able to have locals connect with those industry partners.
So what will businesses find? What will you find there? Really the idea is that, okay, what will you find there? We had to kind of launch it back a little bit, take a couple of steps backwards and find out what we do best. And we started looking around at what we did. Last year we launched a little over 100 businesses through our technical assistance program with the Washington Center for Women in Business, through our SCORE program, and through the Small Business Development Center. When you think about launching 100 businesses, what does it take? What are the resources it needs to get those people up and running? Not necessarily just tomorrow, but keep them moving forward on a continual basis, to keep employing people, to keep providing products, and keep that innovation spirit moving forward. And so we also looked at what is the economic value that we're providing. Last year we provided close to $50 million of economic impact to Thurston County through our resources. When we coupled that with our idea of what happened at Indian River State College, we found that we got it. We already got it. And we got what it has. We have what it takes inside the relationships and the partnerships that we have. If we can launch 104 businesses and create $50 million worth of economic impact in a year without a center like the Brown Center, what can we do with it? So the opportunities that you'll find there are people, resources, database, events, and then we have the opportunity to collide with other people. Economic development, and my folks on our team just hate it when I say it, economic development truly is about belly-to-belly marketing. It's disgusting to say, I know it's kind of turns your stomach to say it, but it is about talking to people about different opportunities and products. And that's what we want to create. There is a synergistic approach to how you can connect yourself with different ideas and products and metrics and research and data. And so when you find out what those services are that you can actually start moving an agenda very proactively in this community. Don't worry about coming through the right door is the idea. I really don't, I kind of eschew that same statement of no wrong door approach. There's no door, just show up. we'll find those resources, we'll do the triage, and we'll keep it moving forward. I'm going to skip through some of these slides because I think it's important when you start looking at how can we help businesses grow, skill building strategies, decisions, as business transformation. When you start thinking about folks that go through our K through 12 and go through our higher education, what happens to those folks? We need to ask ourselves as a community leadership group, where do they go? I know that, for personal experiences, my kids, they'll probably move off. They'll probably move on. So the question I had with them at dinner the other night was, so what is it going to take to keep you here? And he says, geez, Dad, I need this, this, and this, listed off 5 things. So if we can start understanding what that next group of leaders need to have, we can start building on those long-term strategies that really transform businesses and transform the idea that we don't have to worry about business succession absolutely as the linchpin for our future, because business succession will happen because we can provide the services to wrap around it. When you start looking at success, what success might look like, you have smarter actions combined with abundance and the improved outcomes. And you start identifying those metrics. We can do those things now by the relationship that we have. Riley Moore, the good Dr. Riley Moore at St. Martin's University, is always kind of getting after me about doing research and understanding what those impacts are. Well, we can do that now. We can start doing that work, and we can start providing that service to you. 10 years ago, when our board started asking the question, how do we truly create wealth in the community, and what does it mean, and how do you really do it? Well, you need to benchmark it, and you need to start thinking about growing those businesses and attracting investment in this community. I'm a big proponent of buy local. I think those are great programs, but if you're not injecting new capital into your community's economy as an engine, it will continue to degrade over time. You need to inject new capital into your community. By challenging yourself to identify those improved outcomes, you can actually do it. So we're going to launch this thing on October 24th officially. We'll move in next week. I really want to encourage you to show up on October 24th. It's a Saturday. I'll be there in jeans. But I want you to come by and just kind of test drive it. Find out the architecture. The architecture inside the building, which is row 6, as you know, is a long-time facility here in town. It's been completely redeveloped. If you walk through, it's not the same building that was before. Everything is designed to be open so that you can see and participate in entrepreneurial development. We'll have technical assistance. We have counselors available for you to just chat and kick the tires. Next door is the Lacey Veteran Center, that we can actually start bringing veterans in that are seeking self-employment or different opportunities. Next door to that, in the other building, is the Community College's Manufacturing Center. Start thinking about what a manufacturing center is all about. It's a fab lab, but it's also makerspace. If you have not gone to Ole Mega, has anybody gone to Ole Mega yet? Can you introduce yourself? Anyone? I think as Rotarians, I would challenge you to do that. Go find Ole Mega on the website. They have one, and find out when they have open house. And go introduce yourself every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. They have an open house, and they like to introduce themselves, and they say, we are the nerds that are going to control the economy tomorrow. And I tell you, it's true. There's kids in there that are designing drones. There are kids in there designing apps. There are kids in there designing different ways to manufacture and fabricate, and that's what we want to create at the center. So in Lacey, you have exactly planted in your community a center that will bring together about $5 million of technical assistance and resources that will project itself in a larger economy. One of the things I'm not allowed to tell you is that we've been embargoed by the SBA to announce that we've just been awarded with another $1 million program that we're going to announce probably on October 24th. So you didn't hear it here, but it will be specifically designed to take businesses from stage 1 through the valley of kind of death and into stage 2 and stage 3 very quickly. But we don't want to just leave them. We want to make sure that we hold on to them, and we make sure that we have that mentorship opportunities to keep those businesses moving forward. This is a unique situation in Washington State. The eyes of Washington State are on this community, on this facility. Every year I go to a couple of economic development conferences throughout the state. People want to know, hey, what are you guys doing? Word got out that we're doing this. People are watching and want to know why this partnership was created, how did you create it, and what are the resources there. Under one roof, you have technical assistance from the SBDC, SCORE, SBA, the the Washington Center for Women in Business, Procurement Technical Assistance Center, the community college's new programs. They're just launching one. They'll announce it for arts and artists. That will kind of treat artists as entrepreneurs and businesses so they can be stronger businesses and keep those products moving. So it's a unique situation where you actually have an opportunity to develop metrics and also prototypes. Celia Nightingale is our newly hired director of the Center for Business and Innovation. If you don't know Celia, she's been in this community for quite some time. She used to be the manager of a business resource center, but also was the actually a nationally recognized small business development center counselor and director of the SBDC here. From there, she went to the state's labor and industries, where she was a small business liaison. She's back. She's going to be the director of this. She's been on board since July 1st. And her ideas and her focus will be to find gaps and identify how we can serve the community and the business world that we reside in. I need to be very specific with you about we are very aggressive about growing businesses. It's time. It's time that Thurston County understands that you can actually attract new investment, and you can grow your businesses, and you can support them and make sure that they're long-term successful, that you can all benefit from. So I'd love to take some questions. If you have, pepper me with questions, or if you want to kind of corner me in the parking lot, you can certainly do that. Annette Roth is here as well. You can corner her in the parking lot better than I. Not as fast moving as she is. Hi, Judy.
Hi. Is Cecilia a Rotarian yet?
I'm working on it.
Wow, that was a good segue into, you can buy those Brats, Brews, and Bands tickets with Doug Mom right in the back there. But she is not a Rotarian. Thanks for the tee up on that. Yeah, she's not yet. So actually she talked to me about it. And so I think you'll have a new member probably pretty soon. So, yes, sir.
Well, pardon my ignorance on this, but what is the SCORE program?
SCORE is used to stand for Service Corps Retired Executives. They don't like it when I call them that anymore because they're not necessarily just retired. They're individuals that have gone through an SBA program to become certified counselors. It's a no-cost counseling session that we maintain in our office. So if you want to call up and just kind of, hey, I want to have a business, I want to go through my business plan, you can do that. If you're thinking about launching a business, you can come in, we'll set up an appointment with these folks, and we'll kind of walk through that business plan for you. The idea there is that it's a long-term relationship that we want to set up with you, with these folks. We have 9 SCORE counselors. We're actually now the center for the entire district. It used to be up in Tacoma. They've moved all those resources into our CB&I, the Center for Business. But SCORE is a wonderful program. To be a SCORE counselor, you either have to have owned, operated, sold, and operated a business at a CEO level. So you're dealing with some very high-level thinkers about how you run businesses. Yes, sir.
Have you identified additional businesses that would benefit the community, that if somebody came in and said, hey, I really want to start a business, what do you recommend what type of business would be beneficial to the community and to myself?
Yeah, we actually have done a pretty good job of identifying. We've done, Riley's going to kick me on the table here, but we've done a very, very good job of understanding from Riley the need to understand the data. I've become a data geek in my life, and I used to be a word geek. But we have a pretty good database, so we can actually go through the research about what are those supply chains that we have here, what is missing, what's the leakage, what would do well here. So we can have those conversations. So if you come in and say, geez, I'm thinking about starting something in the brewing, craft brewing. We know what the supply chain is, we know what the market is, and we know what the leakage is, and we have a pretty good idea what would work there for you. So we go through that data elements with you and kind of work with you to put that into a business plan. It's a real holistic approach to understanding how businesses start, why they start, and how they're successful.
Out of the 104 businesses that started up last year, are all of those businesses still thriving today?
Thriving is an interesting word. Operating would be a better word to describe the 104 population. I think the majority of them are thriving, though. Yeah, we don't want to let anybody leave the door, leave the premise without the idea that you need to stay in touch with us. We're kind of a jerk about it, but people need to know that we have resources to hang in there. We don't want to just. There's no reason to ask somebody to come to your community and start a business or move a business if you're not going to work with them. You know, economic development has changed. You know, 10 years, 15 years ago when I cut my teeth, it was like, let's get every company we can and then forget about them, we're going to the next company. No, we get the companies, we want to keep them, we want to keep them growing. And that's why we created the CB&I, is that so they have an opportunity to stay and operate. So they know they have a home base. It's a confidential basis that we do. Everything's, most of the services we provide are for free. That actually shouldn't say free. Our board adopts a budget that allows us to do that, so there's a cost to it. We do have some of the programs that are coaching with the Washington Center for Women in Business that do cost, $20 an hour. Pretty good deal there. But the idea is that we want to make sure that we keep in touch with them. We don't want to just leave them. If they want to leave us, that's fine. You go. And then we also have warm referrals. We have about 56 different relationships in the community that we can refer out to other organizations and other services. So it's a real holistic approach. And the other thing I want to make sure, I'm going to get away from your question if that's okay. The other thing I want to stress is that the Economic Development Council is not going away. We'll continue to do the recruit, retain, and expand work that we always do. That's the bread and butter of the work we do. But now we're talking about adding something very significant, and that's the CB&I. It's the idea that we're going to grow that local. But we'll continue to push the envelope a little bit about attracting a business and investment and opportunities here. So don't think that work's going away. Our corporate flag will be there. One of the issues that we're pushing now is the creation of a regional center to attract foreign direct investment. That's a recruitment strategy that we'll be pushing and pursuing over the very near time. Heather, any questions? You look like you got a question. No?